the middle class. Yes, it's a problem, but also let's also not go elitist. When you talk about strategy of, I don't know, presentations, bringing professionals together, then you leave others behind. You can do it, yes, as a strategy, but that shouldn't be the main thing. That you want to now have professionals telling you what the issues is. No, don't look at it as professionals. Here on Space, everybody right now has their own profession. But just ask us what our problem is. In fact, that is what we've been discussing ever since the Gen Z protest began. And it doesn't matter whether someone is a doctor who, all of them are talking about health, all of them are talking about education, all of them. So it's, our problems cut across. It doesn't matter if you're engineers, you're doctors. Right now, taxes are biting everyone. It doesn't matter what profession you are in. And it still goes down to the grassroots, that they're the ones who suffer. Yes, we are suffering, even as salaried people or professional people. But remember the burden, the black tax, where someone is working and there are 10 people depending on. So those 10 people now are currently suffering because of the shift, what all these deductions. Now the people they were depending on can no longer take care of them the way they used to. So let's concentrate on grassroots mobilization more than these elitist presentations and, so in short, the committee needs to think about their messaging, their communication. Don't be laden with heavy things. Oh, this is the tax burden. This is no. Put it in a way that it is palatable, it's easily understood. This is the tax burden. We are paying debts that have already been paid. And that is enough message that when we come in, we are going to do away with these things. You are being overtaxed over 40%, over 50%. Now it means there's no food on the table. Look for messages, simple messaging that resonates with the people. Otherwise, if you go elitist, all these professional groups are saying this, or then it's going to again go to some selfish interest, where we as, say, lecturers, this is what we want. We as engineers, this is what we want. The same thing we are seeing with the churches now. They had Kataba with Ruto. Ruto now is not delivering whatever they were promised. Now they're up in arms. No, we don't want that kind of cocooning. So kindly think about your messaging, think about how you're communicating, and also think about how you approach spaces. When you come, of course, the committee just began the other day. So we are sure by now, not everything is in place. So when you come in, you don't have to answer everything. Because when you answer to things that, for instance, how will the party get leaders, other leaders who are going to support Omtatah in parliament? Because it's an important question. You might have your ideas as a president, but these people are not for those things. And we know our parliamentarians are being bribed or whatever, and we don't want that kind of leadership. So to answer and say, we are going to get people who are this, then another questions come. How are you going to, you see now it's, so you are on the defensive. It shouldn't come out like that. Do your homework. Then, in fact, you're the ones who should now be doing spaces, telling us this is what we have done, or this is how we want to achieve it. We need your help here. And be the drivers. Don't be on the defensive. Don't feel like you have to answer everything, because then some of it, the answering comes out so, I don't know, abstract, theoretical, kind of naive, like, and then you don't have to respond to things like, oh, there are no finances, and therefore, oh, where will you get the 7 billion? And your answer is, we are going to do crowdsourcing. Of course, you are going to do crowdfunding, but that is not your answer. Your answer should be a strategy that you come up with a way of informing people that you don't have to have money to get to presidency, because we want to change the narrative. All the things that they're throwing at you, you should be turning them around to change the narrative, not firefighting them in the same way that they will think about it. So if they're asking you about who your constituency is and so on, then you think about, then my constituency is Kenya. every other Kenyan who believes in change. So I think there's really still, and I'm not saying that you guys are not doing a good job. I'm simply saying right now, because you've just begun, there is still some problem with the messaging and communicating. And therefore, when you come on spaces, no, everyone is answering. There's Kevin here, I mean, and then there's some message doesn't align. No, you need to first get the house together. It's not wrong to say, oh, right now we don't have answers. No, there's nothing wrong with that. Just say we are still exploring, or give us your ideas. So you should be coming more of taking ideas, and then once you have things in place, then you can drive the narrative. But don't come out looking naive, and sometimes the communication really doesn't align. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was really a very nice and well articulated contribution. Thank you. I agree with you on the grassroots mobilization and messaging are always crucial in elections. I think connecting with the common mwananchi and ensuring the message resonates well at grassroots level is key. And I think direct engagement helps to build trust, make the message relatable, ensures the concerns of the people are truly understood and addressed. I think more of whipping of the emotion solely on people suffering is not only a solution to fuel the movement. I think the team needs to go beyond just a strategy, present a comprehensive plan that addresses the root challenges facing Kenyan people. The message must not only appeal to emotions, but also backed by clear, actionable policies that resonate with the 1 inch. Having said that, before we cycle back to Kadomi, I will give Farah, who was on the mic. Thank you.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Clear, loud and clear. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll keep it very brief, inshallah. But mine is to say this. For a period of time, all of us collectively here have discussed various issues and various problems. But the reality is we have very, very many solutions, but we cannot all implement them individually. We must take this as a personal endeavor because it's not about you. It's not about Omtatah. It's not about Kathomi, nor the patriotic Kenyan or Hillary. It's about living a country that is fit for your children and your grandchildren, and one that you'd be proud to be associated with. Because if you look at the elections in Brazil, for instance, the elections, this is actually something Omtatah told us, that the election results were announced 48 minutes after the last ballot was cast. And that shows that we can actually have an electoral process that's we don't even need a free and fair election. We just need a tamper-proof election. That's one. Number two is it's a personal thing. We have to ensure that in our small ways, we push this conversation forward and ensure that we don't have this same lot of people. How do you have the same people in power for 34 years, for 36 years? If we are not mad, honestly speaking, because it's piki ponki, anasonga hapa, mwingine anakuja pande hii, mwingine anasonga pande hii. It's not serving us as a people, and we don't need policies. And one thing I totally agree with Okiya Omtatah about is his is very simple. Okiya Omtatah, get it done. Tekeleza katiba. There's no long route about the plan, whatever. It is the constitution. It is the one that we all agreed upon, where the majority of everybody got a say, but the majority chose that we want this new constitution. And that's all he wants, to implement the constitution. And he's very comfortable with somebody else leading the race. But one thing we must do as a people is accept that we need change. And change is not always comfortable. Lastly, we don't need to demonize the other group, whoever they might be. We don't need to, unajua ukicheza na nguruwe kwa matope, nguruwe ina enjoy. wewe ndo unacheza na matope, yeye ako nyumbani. We need an election campaign that is about the people, is about the constitution. Why did you choose this constitution? This is what the constitution says. This is what we, hii mambo yote iko kwa katiba. Don't make it rocket science. It's very simple. You understand the constitution, you understand what you want, even if it's not Omtatah, it's somebody else. But let's stop picking problems and making mountains out of an anthill, honestly. We want change. Okiya has presented himself. We know he is honest. We know he's a man of integrity. Mine is to say, let's chart a path that even hata ikuwe na miba ngapi, hiyo ndo inatupeleka mahali sisi tunataka kuenda as a people. Do not delegate your responsibility to effect change in this country to somebody else. Always coming up with a problem, always coming up with issues so that somebody else comes up with an answer or you can bash them into submission. No. Come up with a solution, let somebody else build up on your solution, and we move forward. But currently, we must all people of good faith, if you have true intentions of changing this country and wanting to see your motherland prosper, si story mingi, just have clarity of heart and clarity of mind that we're taking this journey together and we're taking it as a people. One thing that Eric Wainaina said in his song is, hakika ya bendera ni uthabiti wangu. It is my integrity and my resolve and my ambitions and everything about me that gives meaning to the national symbols and our nationality and what we share as a people. And what we share as a people right now is suffering. And if you're not comfortable enough to switch positions with your oppressor, then honestly, we still have a lot more shida kupitia ndo tufike hapo. But mine is to say, do not delegate your responsibility to anybody else. Kuulizia sijui MCA, MP, wewe ndo utakuwa MP, wewe ndo utakuwa MCA, no problem. It's just you. As long as you're somebody who has integrity and want to see change, offer your name up. We will support you. Some of us have no political ambition, but we want to see real change effected. So kindly, as a people, let's try to focus on things that will effect change for the better. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Farah, and thank you for your submission. And we are, as a team here in this space, we always extend our gratitude to anyone who puts his name forward to run for office. And Okiya is one of them, and we are very grateful. But it's important also to clarify that guiding the conversation does not mean to bash or disparage anyone. Our goal is to ensure a respectful, constructive dialogue that fosters understanding and progress for all involved. I think we appreciate the engagement and the value for perspective. Thank you so much. Before we move on, I will also read a few online comments, and then before we go to let's get a few online comments. There is well said, excellent message. Farah, we are all in this together. That is NSW promoter. Next says, we don't have leaders, but we have rulers. Ronyo says, if we are going to disrupt status quo, we have to identify that leadership is capacity to influence others through inspiration and motivation, passion generated by vision. Produced by conviction, ignited by prosperous but purpose. As we stand, don't have such leaders. We need to inform our people and educate them to identify these type of leaders. Having said that, over to you, Honorable Neto.
Thank you very much, Abdi. I mean, I think I love the way the conversation is happening. And like we said, let's keep it respectful. But I'd post a couple of questions to Dr. Boni and Dr. Milton. Who wants to go first? Is it Dr. Boni who goes first? Dr. Boni, are you there? I asked a couple of questions with regard to the comments that you'd made before. Do you want to respond now? Looks like he's having connection issues. Dr. Milton, you want to go then?
If Bonnie is not ready, then I can go.
Please go ahead. Dr. Milton.
Thank you so much. There were three questions you posed. Number one is Question on mobilization. The second question was what I have summed up as the Pan-African bag on electoral accountability, because we've missed that quite a few times over the last few weeks to months. And the other question was on constitutionalism and rule of law. Let me begin with the first one on mobilization. I think what we need to do is we need to start with something I alluded to a few weeks ago on adopting simple grassroots models as our to-go points when it comes to passing the message. So number one, how effectively can we mobilize? We have the Nyumba Kumi security model. That for me is a very good starting point in terms of how we can mobilize our people down at the grassroots level. If we are able to reach out to those small groups in the villages, we have opinion shapers and people who they listen to at that level. It will be easy for the message to then permeate through to the ground, because those are the people who get listened to. Those are the people vijana wanapokutana jioni wakiwatch football,